applicants. Chloe Chu with this story.
Dorothy Yuan's dream was to study science and technology at Stanford University. She planned her entire academic life around getting into Stanford, but she had to put that aside when COVID-19 hit.
I started to curate my entire student identity as someone who does the arts but is also capable in STEM subjects, and had also a whole bunch of other varied interests. A month before my IB exams, I actually went to the point of publishing a book. I actually planned to take the SAT. So this was me waking up every morning at 7 a.m. and then studying for the SAT for a whole hour and a half on the train every day until school started at 8:30. So this was my life for a solid year, and I never got to take the SAT because they cancelled on me 3 times.
But all the hard work didn't go to waste as she secured a scholarship at the National University of Singapore. She'll be starting her computing degree in July. Miss Yuan is one of the students who will benefit from the extra places that are being offered by local universities. Education Minister Chan Chun Sing says the universities will continue to offer these vacancies due to the pandemic, but admissions will not be made easier. In 2020, MOE said the 6 autonomous universities would make about 2,000 more offers across a range of courses. About 1,000 additional places were already given out across the schools earlier this year, according to former Education Minister Lawrence Wong. Some places went to those who had planned to study overseas, while others went to those who opted to study instead of joining a weak job market. But even as more slots open up, some students have chosen to study abroad. One student, Kelly Hui, will study law at University College London in September, despite the uncertainty. It's still undecided whether classes will be conducted physically or online, but she doesn't want to pass up the opportunity.
Studying abroad has always been a dream of mine since I was very young, because I feel that I will be able to gain a lot of new experiences by getting to know people all across the globe. And of course, living by myself overseas. While the pandemic is definitely a hindrance to my original plans, I still decided to go ahead with it, mainly because I trust myself to keep myself safe.
Several others also say they chose to study overseas because their courses aren't on offer in Singapore, such as vet science and agricultural economics.
11 firms have been fined for not ensuring work from home as the default arrangement for their employees. They were among some 530 workplaces inspected between May 8th and May 21st. Authorities say there will be more inspections. Action will be taken against employers if workers who can work from home are found to be working on site. That's even if the total number of workers on site are at or below the declared number of workers. First-time offenders will be fined $1,000 and up to $2,000 for repeat offenders. Employers must declare their on-site manpower details by Friday. The update can be done through the government resource platform Go Business Singapore. The Association of Small and Medium Enterprises welcomes the guidelines. It urges employers to be responsible.
This action really makes it a lot clearer to all the business owners, and if they need to call the employees back, there is clear reason to do so. I think very few business owners will complain given the situation of the epidemic and the fact that we want this situation to really pass and have us all be in the clear and have a really 0 cases in community.
Climate change is an urgent and existential threat that Singapore will do its part to combat. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong said this at a virtual roundtable for Asian Commonwealth leaders. He also set out Singapore's plan to tackle the problem, which includes decarbonising sectors like aviation and petrochemicals and growing the country's carbon services capabilities. Firms will also be supported in their green efforts.
As a small country, Singapore's impact on the global climate is limited. But we will do our part, and wherever we can, support others too. For example, through our Climate Action Package of technical assistance in climate science and clean energy to benefit fellow developing countries, including those in the Commonwealth. We will support the UK's presidency for a successful COP26 and work with all countries to build a sustainable and prosperous future.
Still to come, what are the options being considered to keep public housing affordable? And the woman who refused to wear a mask at Marina Bay Sands appears outside court again without a mask on.
Love city living? Singapore Property Show presents stunning developments in the core central region. The ultimate in luxurious living with access to the best high-end restaurants and boutiques right in the heart of town. Experience stunning 4D virtual tours of these properties and get expert advice on property investments at our webinars. It's all happening at sps2021.99.co. Register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organised by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
There was a huge manhunt for this man.
Podcast producer Rovik Roberts investigates a mysterious murder from the past.
This is a spicy case. Spicy.
To understand how Singapore turned from a city of vice.
Singapore was a Chicago of the East. Clashes and shootings were rampant.
Into one of the safest in the world.
When the caning started, holy smoke, it was a game changer.
Into the Vault 3, Wednesday on CNA.
It's a human catastrophe of epic proportions. Thousands are dying every day in India as it battles the raging coronavirus crisis.
हमारे सामने उन्होंने दम तोड़ा, हम कुछ नहीं कर पाए.
मेरी वाइफ चली गई, मेरे दोनों ब्रदर-इन-लॉ गए और मदर-इन-लॉ एक्सपायर्ड हो गई.
Has India lost control of the pandemic?
If you step out right now, you step out to die.
India's COVID catastrophe. Insight, Thursday on CNA.
CNA Leadership Summit. Presenting partner, Daikin.
The human cost of the climate crisis will become even greater.
A timely conversation on one of the biggest challenges facing the world today.
Climate change will affect every single person. A leadership summit is imperative.
In order to bring various leaders together to start thinking about sustainability.
Observing stringent safety measures, business leaders and decision makers gathered physically and virtually to discuss collective actions for a green recovery.
The message delivered was one of hope, that there are many solutions out there for climate change.
A big thank you to all the panellists and participants at this year's CNA Leadership Summit. Organised by MediaCorp. Official car partner, BMW. Official partner, RBC, Royal Bank of Canada.
There's still apprehension on how the one country, two systems political system will continue to evolve. But it's the resilience of the people, holding on to their culture proudly, and strong institutions all help to make Hong Kong what it is today, and the hope of a better tomorrow. Roland Lim, CNA, Hong Kong.
This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation.
Hello there, in Business Tonight. Consumers are paying more for food and household goods. The higher prices follow rising core inflation, which excludes cars and accommodation. Core inflation for April rose to 0.6% compared to a year ago. A core inflation, which does not include accommodation and private transportation, increased from the previous month. Higher accommodation and private transport costs also pushed headline inflation higher to 2.1% on year. That was mainly driven by a sharp increase in car prices and lower private transport costs last year amid the circuit breaker. That's when all electronic road pricing charges were suspended. Experts say Singaporeans can expect to pay higher prices as the worsening COVID-19 situation in the region could disrupt supplies. They believe if COVID-19 infections keep going up, there is the potential of restrictions tightening further.
If they have to continue to ensure restriction, etc., then they may see some of the costs being passed on to the consumer. But again, as I say, that's on the assumption that they don't get further assistance. I think after 1 year, government are quite quick in terms of finding out who are the industry most affected, who needs help, and who doesn't. So we are able to calibrate response far more quickly this time around. So to you and I as consumer, maybe the impact will be far less.
A new flats with